Hello, and welcome to channel Ein Key, and I am your host, Voluntary. I would like to tell you a story. If you're an executive at InBev, I hope you will listen for the moral. Everyone else can sit back and enjoy the story. It was the year 2000. Bill Clinton was president, and very frustrated that his attempts to implement new and extensive gun control measures had been stymied by both Congress and the courts. He was looking for a workaround to get what he wanted, and he pioneered one of the first times the government used a private company to accomplish their goals. At that time, the current zeitgeist among the Democrats is very anti-gun, above and beyond other issues. Many of the Democrat cities were launching baseless lawsuits against firearm manufacturers, blaming them for the actions of people who purchased their products or stole their products. Although the manufacturers were winning the cases, the burden of fighting case after case was wearying them. Bill Clinton set out an offer you can't refuse. Make a deal and the suits go away. It wasn't a good deal. For the manufacturers themselves, here were some of the requirements. Every purchase of a firearm must include a locking device. 2% of revenue, not profit, but revenue, must be spent on researching authorized user technology, also known as smart guns. No more large capacity magazines and additional testing for safety. Those were the basic requirements. Then there were the really bad requirements. The problem was that if any dealer wanted to sell Smith & Wesson firearms, the dealer had to agree to several requirements. Any dealer in a high crime area gets cut off. No selling at gun shows. All firearms must have additional ballistic testing so that casings can identify the firearm. Dealers must require buyers take a firearm safety class. Dealers will not sell any firearms with large capacity magazines. And restriction on number of purchases. If a buyer purchases a handgun, he cannot purchase another for 2 weeks. The dealers weren't required to just do that with Smith & Wesson products. The requirement was that in order to sell Smith & Wesson, they had to do that to all products. That's the bad part. Since President Clinton couldn't get these through on his own, he decided to use a private company to force these measures through, counting on the power of Smith & Wesson to bring other firearm manufacturers into line. Instead, gun purchasers stopped buying Smith & Wesson. Some gun shops stopped carrying Smith & Wesson entirely. Some kept their existing inventory but didn't request new inventory. The inventory they had, both from new purchasers and resellers, wasn't moving. Nobody was buying. There were several responses to this. Some Democrat cities decided to implement Smith & Wesson preferences for their police departments. Republicans reacted by trying to ban political-based preferences and mandating price and quality be the only allowable criterion. There was even a threat to investigate gun shops and gun wholesalers under antitrust action, since they were clearly working together. What eventually happened was the CEO was ousted. Smith & Wesson was sold to new owners. The company reneged on the agreement with the government and apologized to gun buyers everywhere. Smith & Wesson was forgiven by everyone except the Clinton administration, who threatened legal action for breaking the agreement. But then George W. Bush was elected. He ended federal action against Smith & Wesson, and with Congress passed a law that shielded the gun manufacturers from the absurd lawsuits filed by the cities. This, not Budweiser, was the first major boycott of a brand in modern times. It wasn't a canceling because no one was called for the company to be unbanked or unpersoned. Anyone who actually wanted to deal with the company was able to do so. It was just that nobody wanted to deal with the company. And it worked. And it worked well. Now, Smith & Wesson is once again a major firearm manufacturer. Is there a lesson in this for Budweiser? Of course there is. They can recover, and they can be forgiven. All they need to do is own up to what they did. They can't hide from it. They can't pretend it didn't happen. They can't release commercials intended to appeal to their core audience. It won't work. There's only one thing that will work, which is to do the right thing. Of course, they won't do it. Thank you for watching. We're now in the double digits for subscribers, and hopefully we will only keep growing. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe to help my channel grow.